This piece of wood represents the closing jamb on a pocket door. It is currently in the vertical position, which is the position you would machine the CL400 magnetic striker in. But for the purpose of this video, I will turn this closing jamb flat and we'll machine it in this position. Slide the door closed and let it hang in its free position. Taking a pencil, mark the top of the handle on the closing jamb. You will then mark either side of the CL400 handle. This is so you can find the center point. Slide the door away and using a square, extend the line where you mark the top of the handle. Find the middle of the two side handle marks. Extend this line. Align the top of the jig with this line here and find the center using the incision in the jig and this line here. Using a pencil, mark through the two counter bore holes onto the closing jamb. Remove the jig and use a drill to drill two pilot holes on the holes you marked on the door. Insert two screws into the pilot holes, but make sure the screw sits about 3/8 of an inch proud. You will then flip the jig over, insert it over the two screw heads, realign it with your two lines, and tighten in place. Top of the jig is fixed. We also need to fix the bottom of the jig. We do the deeper part of the striker cutout first. So insert the plate and using some masking tape, hold it in place. You want this to be smooth because the router plate will be running over it. You need a base plate that can accept a template bush. These base plates can be found at your local woodworking shop or on websites like Amazon. Insert the bush into the base plate. The spring washer helps the nut from undoing. I like to use a rag to give it that final tighten. Place over the alignment pin and tighten in place. Remove the alignment pin and insert the cutter. The depth of the cut depends on whether you're doing a recessed striker or a flush striker. This cardboard template is provided in the box. For a flush striker, I'm going to router out this middle part to a depth of 20.5 millimeters or 13/16. Make sure you take into account the thickness of the plate. So this is 6 millimeters plus the 20.5. I'm going to adjust my router to 26.5. We need a hole for the router cutter to start in. Drill this hole in the very center. The depth will be so that this does not bottom out. I am doing this in one cut as it is MDF. If it was a harder wood, you might want to do it in 2 or more cuts. You will now remove the insert so we can router the outside of the magnetic striker. For a flush striker, the outer section is routed out to 9.25 millimeters or 3/8 of an inch. Remember to add on that 6 millimeters. So 6 plus 9.25 is 15.25 millimeters. When performing these cutouts, you may want to go about 0.5 millimeter or 1/64 deeper than instructed. This will mean that the CL400 striker sits slightly negative of the wood, which means when the door comes along and hits it, it's not the faceplate of the CL400 hitting the striker, it's the faceplate of the CL400 hitting the wood. This should help protect the faceplate on the CL400. Once we remove the template, we're left with a perfect cutout for the striker. To finish, you will need to putty these holes up.